What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for September the 11th of 2019. Of course, for those that are brand new to the show, this is a daily gaming news podcast hosted on youtube.com/SamuelAdamsMedia and, of course, put up on podcast services around the world that aims to keep you up to date and informed on everything happening in the world of gaming 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I have a good time with it, and I hope it keeps you informed while giving you guys a good time. That was a weird way to say that. Had some kind of innuendo in there, didn't it? Regardless, moving on. Today we have some pretty big news, specifically mobile-related news, because Apple Arcade has been given some more details, such as when you can check it out, and on top of that, how much it will cost, along with a couple of other games you could be playing on your iPhone, iPad, Mac, or Apple TV. But Google is not going to lay down and take that without any kind of competition, because Play Pass is officially on the way, basically their version of Apple Arcade. Then Sony has something PlayStation-related for the end of September to show off, and that's a rumor, but it could be a pretty substantial rumor at that. Then sales continue to slide as GameStop continues its reboot. Things are not looking good for the giant games retailer, and by not looking good, I mean even worse than they did last month somehow. I have no idea how that's possible. Blows my mind. But then, WoW viewership, that is World of Warcraft viewership on Twitch, jumped 84% during the month of the release of WoW Classic. However, you know what they're not going to be watching? Bayonetta I and II on the Wii U, because they are disappearing from the Japanese and European Nintendo Wii U stores next week. Just in case you did need to pick those up and you are in that specific part of the world. But finally, maybe you can just forego Bayonetta I and II and check out the new KFC game, which is essentially Dream Daddy, but with Colonel Sanders. Yeah, that's quite the thing, and that's something that's actually happening. What a world to live in. However, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's top gaming news. First off, Apple Arcade will cost $4.99 per month and launch September the 19th, with a 1-month free trial for those on the fence. Apple is almost ready to launch its video game subscription service. Today, the company announced that Apple Arcade, its long-awaited Netflix for games, will arrive on September the 19th and cost $4.99 per month. It will offer a library of over 100 games, some of which will be exclusive to the platform, that you can play across iPhone, iPad, Mac, and Apple TV. If you are still on the fence, there will be a 1-month free trial at launch. During a special event at the Steve Jobs Theater, the company gave a few more details about how the service will work. A spokesperson confirmed that Apple Arcade will have its own icon and tab in the App Store, for instance, packed with curated picks, game guides, and sneak peek trailers. 2 new titles were announced for the platform today: a reimagined Frogger developed by Konami, and Shinsekai Into the Depths, an underwater adventure game by Capcom. And of course, there are other new games as well coming to the service, including Sonic Racing, which is pretty exciting. Apple Arcade's mobile focus is unique, but the service comes at a time when every publisher and console manufacturer is launching a subscription service. There is PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live Gold and Xbox Game Pass, EA Access, Ubisoft's Uplay Plus, Discord Nitro, and Nintendo Switch Online. Google, meanwhile, is preparing to launch Stadia, a streaming service that includes a pro tier for $9.99 per month, and the company is also testing a Play Pass, which we will talk about more in just a moment. Now, I do want to make a bit of a discrepancy here with the article that we're reading on Engadget. Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus aren't exactly the same kind of subscription service that we're talking about here. I think this is more akin to your Uplay Plus, your EA Access, your even Discord Nitro is still more akin to the Xbox Live Gold and the PlayStation Plus. There are just small discrepancies that do make these services different from one another. So with that being said, which one is Apple Arcade? Clearly, this is something that is the Xbox Game Pass. This is something that is the Uplay Plus. This is something that is all-inclusive, I suppose, is the best way to put it. Now, the big thing here, $4.99 per month gets you access to over 100 games on your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac, or your Apple TV. That's very impressive. And especially considering how many people do throw themselves into mobile games, this could be a fantastic way for somebody to find their next favorite game and have a constantly revolving door of new experiences to play while they are on their phones, whether they be lounging on the couch, waiting for a bus, whatever they might be doing, and playing their... Actually, let's be real here. You're just screwing around at work. $4.99 gets you access to over 100 games that you can screw around at work on. It's basically what this is. But overall, very good value here. I think there is a lot to be said about the Apple Arcade subscription plan. And on top of that, launching in just a few days. Of course, the free trial is something I might even give a shot because, hey, why not? It's free and I can check out that new Frogger game because there's nothing better than a new Frogger game. But I will say there is a ton of value here if you do want to check it out. And if you are a mobile gamer, I think you are going to be seeing more of this kind of thing going into the future. But I predict some very, very huge levels of success for the Apple Arcade subscription plan because, again, there is just so much value. And as somebody who primarily trends to play console games, who primarily goes towards the PC gaming side of things, the more traditional kind of gaming experiences, I think that I kind of lose connection with the mobile side of the industry a good bit because I don't see it in my own gaming habits and in my own life. But there are so many people out there that are just playing games on their mobile devices that don't own an Xbox, that don't own a PlayStation. And I think that's really what this is catering to. This Apple Arcade service is catering to those who simply just play games on their mobile phones, which again, nothing wrong with that. Still 100% gamers, if you will. It's a horrible way to say it, but you know what I mean. That's pretty much where this is going towards. But if you do want to check out Apple Arcade, again, launching on September the 19th for $4.99 per month. Or you can check out Google's Apple Arcade competitor Play Pass, which is officially on the way. No details, but the subscription service is coming soon. Earlier this year, screenshots leaked of an experimental Google Play game subscription service called Google Play Pass, which looked to be a direct answer to Apple's similar Apple Arcade. But it doesn't seem to be a test anymore. Google has now teased that Play Pass is officially coming soon. The teaser, a day before the Apple, of course, event revealing pricing and launch details for Apple Arcade, has zero details, so we will have to keep them waiting to learn more about when the service is coming, how much it will cost, and which games will be available. But we do have those early leaked screenshots, first reported by Android Police in July, to suggest that it may cost $4.99 per month, exactly the same price as Apple Arcade, and appears to have a similar model to Apple Arcade in giving subscribers an ad-free, pay-what-you-want experience. The screenshot also shows that the service might have some well-known games, including Monument Valley, Stardew Valley, and Threes, as well as non-gaming apps such as premium music apps and fitness trackers. Google often holds an event to announce new hardware and services in October, and perhaps Google Play Pass will make its debut there. I would say that's a pretty good prediction. So we have yet another competitor entering into the ring. That's essentially what's happening here. It looks like we are going to be seeing more and more of these services pop up in every little small aspect of our lives. And to some degree, there is a lot of value here. Even if you think about stuff like Netflix and Hulu Plus, you can pick which service you want, and you can probably find something good to watch. Now, there is a ton of hot garbage on Netflix, on Hulu, on every other streaming service, and so you kind of have to sift through stuff to find the small, almost like condensed version of what you actually want to be watching whenever you are paying for this giant swath of stuff. And I think that's definitely a risk with Google's Apple Arcade, or excuse me, Google's Play Pass, and on top of that, Apple's Arcade. Because there are going to be tons and tons and tons and tons of games that can be played on both of these services, but at the same time, how many of those do you actually want to play? Xbox Game Pass, on the other hand, has done a pretty solid job of ensuring that most of the titles in its library and offering are actually pretty desirable. There are some fantastic titles on Xbox Game Pass, which is why I call it the best deal in gaming. But when it comes to mobile games, it could be very easy to kind of see a couple of, strays get their way into the mix. A couple of black sheep, if you will, that might not be that good, and that might take down the overall quality of the service itself. However, that is yet to be seen. Again, we will have to wait and see how these services grow and evolve, because there are, let me make it very clear, limitless amounts of mobile games out there to include in passes of various types on various platforms. But it looks like Apple Arcade does in fact have some competition, which I would wager probably won't do half as well as Apple Arcade, just because I just don't see the same kind of dedicated core audience on the Android side of things as compared to the Apple side of things. I just feel like Apple Arcade is, number one, a much better branded offering, which again, in the marketing world, that's a pretty big deal. But on top of that, people that have iPhones are dedicated to iPhones. I know because I am one. I love my iPhone. I will always be messing around on my iPhone. It's something that's very easy to pick up and play with. And so, I mean, we'll have to see how this one plays out. No pun intended. However, you could be playing a new PlayStation console relatively soon, but Sony has something PlayStation related planned for the end of September. Yesterday, it was revealed that Naughty Dog is hosting a media event for The Last of Us Part 2 on the 24th of September. We talked about that on yesterday's show, but supposedly this will provide press with a fresh look at the game. However, with this news, rumors of another PlayStation-related event have appeared, which is apparently also taking place that week. The ever-reliable Zuge-EX, I have no idea what that is, Z-H-U-G-E-E-X, who is this? Is this a Twitter thing? Oh, this is that guy on Twitter. Okay, yeah, there's a guy on Twitter. Zuge-X, sure, why not? Says that The Last of Us Part 2's media event isn't the only Sony event that week, teasing that the Japanese giant is more in store for us. Right now, the most common assumption is that there will be a new State of Play broadcast, and if that does turn out to be the case, that's probably where The Last of Us Part 2 will be shown publicly. But what else could Sony have up its sleeve? Let's not forget the Tokyo Game Show 2019 begins later this week on the 12th of September, running through the 15th, and Sony will be there to highlight various titles. As such, it is tough to predict the contents of a State of Play that goes live just a couple of weeks later. What do you make of this? Are you ready for a new State of Play? What would you like to see? It's about time to be talking about the next PlayStation. We are running out of time here. Again, I think they are going to be showing off a lot of teases building up to that E3 season, which tends to be when most big gaming companies reveal their newest piece of hardware. But it would be nice to see a tease of what's to come. It would be a nice show of faith from Sony to say, hey, we've got this new piece of hardware coming. We're pretty excited about it. This is what you could be getting. Now, of course, they did go out and reveal a lot of the specs of what to expect from the PlayStation 5, which were still kind of up in the air as of the spring. But at the same time, there has been pretty much radio silence from PlayStation over the better part of 2019, which is understandable considering that, as I said, we are on the cusp of a new generation. It's not exactly shocking whenever a company kind of begins to slow down, kind of recede a bit before giving this giant burst of new information towards the beginning of a new console generation. But man, it's just getting to be uncomfortable radio silence. Like whenever you are with a search party or something and there are people wandering around in the woods and you say, Tom, are you there? And nobody replies and you're like, he's probably just, in a place with no reception. And then 5 minutes later, still no word from Tom. Tom's in a ravine. I don't want PlayStation to be in the ravine. But hopefully something good will come out of the end of September on top of The Last of Us Part 2 gameplay and more info reveal. At the very least, we are going to be seeing release dates for, I would say, The Ghost of Tsushima, and on top of that, The Last of Us Part 2. That's what I'm betting, but I'm not a betting man. I could be very, very wrong. I'm likely very, very wrong. It's often the case. However, sales are continuing to slide downhill as GameStop continues its reboot. Sales in nearly every single category are down year over year at GameStop during the quarter ending August 3rd, a decline that comes as the company is attempting to refocus its business and one that company leadership attributes largely to the end of current console generations. Overall, the company reported a GAAP net loss of $415.3 million for its second quarter, down from last year's net loss of $24.9 million. Global sales decreased 14.3% year over year, coming in at $1.3 billion for the quarter, and taking a category by category look, the retailer saw a year-over-year increase in only one sector, collectibles. Sales in that category were up 21.1% year-over-year, and the company notes double-digit growth both domestically and internationally. New hardware sales are down 41.1%, attributed to recently announced next-gen consoles. New software sales are down 5.3% due to weaker title launches on non-Switch platforms, and accessory sales are down 9.5% overall. Sales for pre-owned goods, including both hardware and software, yep, you guessed it, are down 17.5%. GameStop leads into the press release for this quarter's results with a breakdown of its ongoing GameStop reboot initiative and the 4 areas it is focusing on in an effort to boost financial performance and support the company's long-term success. Those steps include optimizing its core businesses, re-angling as a social cultural hub for gaming, relaunch its website and build out its digital platform, and establish better relationships with vendors. We are committed to acting with a sense of urgency to address the areas of the business that are critical to achieving long-term success and value creation for our stakeholders. We will set GameStop on the correct strategic path and fully leverage our unique position as brand in the video game industry, said GameStop CEO George Sherman in that press release. GameStop has been in the process of attempting to work itself into a better financial position for some time. Notably, during Q2, GameStop moved to consolidate ThinkGeek's online storefront into GameStop's existing platform and tapped the design firm r/GA to help reboot the physical locations for its stores. The company also recently laid off over 120 staff, including nearly half of Game Informer's editorial force, as part of its ongoing cost-cutting measures, although those layoffs occurred just weeks after the close of the second quarter. Now, on top of that, GameStop is also going to be closing upwards of 200 stores over the course of the next 12 to 24 months, with more to come down the line. That's also revealed in the financial report. Not looking so good for the retailer, and I know that I sound like I'm just echoing myself week after week as we continue to talk more about the decline of GameStop, but it's still worth talking about because, again, we just continue to see this trend of less profit, more decrease. It's just a really sad time. Because, and I've said this before and I'll always say it, GameStop will always hold a place in my heart. Yes, they rip you a new one when you go in to trade in games. Whenever you go in to get rid of a console, the meme as it goes tends to be like, oh, I'll give you 25 cents. Something along those lines. Yes, they do that. But at the same time, in my childhood, GameStop was such a big icon. GameStop was a place where I went and spent hours reading the backs of games, looking at the gameplay trailers, playing on the small kiosks, looking at everything they had to offer. I just was infatuated. I was like a kid in a candy factory. And so I'll always have a small part of my heart that is, hoping that GameStop does come back. But at the same time, the industry is changing and shifting more towards digital, number one. But on top of that, we are just getting away from overall buying things in the physical space, not only in gaming, but also when it comes to movies, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to general shopping. Online is the way to go. Now, with that being said, GameStop has rebooted its website. They have redesigned the website, and I will say it looks better than it did before. It's much easier to navigate, but even with that being taken into account, is a new website enough to compete with the likes of Amazon, with the likes of Walmart, which is a pretty big online hub at this point? And on top of that, stuff like the PlayStation Store and the Xbox Live Marketplace, I just don't know if GameStop can continue to support itself. If this does work, man, make notes. They need to give this company, r/GA, a big old bonus because, man, if you redesign a store and save it, that is some talent right there. But I just don't see GameStop being around in 5 to 10 years' time. However, you know what will be around? Twitch, because tons of people love watching gaming on Twitch. Tons of people love watching a variety of entertainment on Twitch, as we've talked about on previous episodes of the show. Some morally upright, some lesser so. But at the same time, World of Warcraft viewership on Twitch jumped 84% last month. WoW Classic launch propels viewership dedicated streamers in August. WoW Classic launched last month not just to crowded servers, but also crowded streams, boosting World of Warcraft viewership on Twitch up by 84%. Stream Elements has shared infographics of the top 10 streamers on Twitch last month, as well as the top 10 games, both of which show an unmistakable influence from the launch of Classic. World of Warcraft leaped to the 4th most watched game on Twitch by watch time, just under Dota 2 and above just chatting in categories. In total, it saw just under 68 million hours watched in August. Meanwhile, notable WoW streamer Asmongold rocketed past Tfue in hours watched and took the top spot in August with over 10 million hours watched. It's worth noting that August was also the month that top streamer Ninja departed for Mixer. While the top 10 streamers on Twitch chart features a lot of familiar faces, their respective places in the list continue to shift, said Stream Elements CEO Doran Neer. Most notably was popular WoW player Asmongold, who rode the recent WoW Classic wave all the way to the top. This speaks to the value of grinding away at a game that might not be at the top of the charts today, but could be tomorrow. There are several interesting things to note regarding the top 10 games of August. Based on the number of streamers that flock to WoW Classic, nostalgia is a sweet spot for the gaming community. You don't say. Another older game that experienced a huge rise was Minecraft. Although no new content was released for it, a number of popular streamers increased the amount of hours they were playing it, which I will say there was a giant rise in Minecraft in the last month of 2019. Last month being, of course, August. But there is your entire breakdown, with Asmongold, Tfue being in numbers 1 and 2. Then I would say you've got XQC at number 3, Shroud number 4, and it continues to go down from there. But overall, very impressed with the release of WoW Classic. I will say that although there were a couple of server issues here and there, overwhelmingly, it was a pretty smooth release considering what we've seen in the past. But man, viewership on Twitch has skyrocketed, and even as somebody who doesn't play WoW and has never played WoW, I still have a part of my heart that does enjoy watching WoW, and so I can confirm that I've been watching a lot of Classic. In my spare time, I'll just throw it up on my living room TV and chill out on my couch. It's nice background noise, it's fun to watch. I really enjoy it, and I hope the trend continues. But I think this shows that at its core, Twitch will always maintain some semblance of its foundation. Because, of course, over the course of the past maybe year to 2 years, it has been dominated by Battle Royales. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Fortnite, tons of other of the small BR titles have come out and really dominated Twitch for at least a small amount of time. But Twitch was, of course, founded on basically World of Warcraft. People loved that game. People streamed that game religiously. And I think that the return to form is really speaking volumes for a lot of people that Twitch might be a different place. You do have a lot of people in the just chatting category, not only just chatting, but also doing a variety of things. But on top of that, you do have other games that rise and fall, but at its core, it will always be a platform centered around gaming culture and the trends, but also the core gaming experiences like your WoW, like your CSGO, like your Dota, like your League. It's a good platform. Even though it has problems, it's a good platform. However, if you are in the... I'm not even going to try and make any kind of transition here. Bayonetta I and II will vanish from the Japanese and European Wii U store next week. S&M Which Rides Into the Night. A notice has appeared on the Nintendo eShop page for the Wii U release of Bayonetta and Bayonetta II, announcing that both titles are to be delisted next week, rendering them unable to be purchased in the future, which is, of course, very unfortunate for fans of the Wii U. At the time of writing, the delisting does not appear to be in effect for the North American eShop equivalent, but as of midnight, September 18th/19th, both titles in Platinum Games' Hack and Slash series will be spirited away from digital sale in Europe and Japan. Of course, this doesn't mean that players in these territories can experience the joys of these high-violence, high-fashion games, as both Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 are still available for Nintendo Switch. Still, it's a shame to see the titles quietly disappear from a platform that brought them much fame, particularly in the case of the sequel. Now, this is something that I feel is a little bit strange, because, quite frankly, I don't know why this is happening, and we'll go to the original Gematsu article, but, or the Silicon Era article, but there is no real reason for these to be taken down from the Wii U shop, other than the fact that they're both available on the Nintendo Switch with enhanced graphics, etc., better quality games. This is, quite frankly, I feel like a marketing gimmick to get people to upgrade to the Nintendo Switch version of the game. But whenever you delist stuff from a digital storefront, you truly are devaluing the console. And in this specific case, you are devaluing a console that had no value to begin with. I'm pretty sure without Bayonetta 1 and 2, the Wii U is essentially negative. It is essentially less than worthless. Of course, I am exaggerating. There are some games that are worth playing on the Wii U. Not worth going out and picking one up over, but I digress. At the same time, very unfortunate to see Bayonetta 1 and 2 vanishing from the Japanese and European Nintendo Wii U stores next week. But I did want to include it in my show just in case any of you out there happen to be in those regions and did want to pick up a digital version of the big old beating, giant, action-packed, leather-clad ass thing that is Bayonetta 1 and 2. However, that's just my 2 cents. That's my take on the game. Giant leather ass action. However, KFC is apparently creating a Colonel Sanders dating sim. Finger licking good. Oh God, why? KFC, yes, the fast food restaurant, is working on a video game. With developer Siop, I believe I said that correctly, the fried chicken connoisseurs are releasing a dating simulator. I love you, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator. The game popped up on Steam this morning as coming soon, according to the listing. A KFC rep told Polygon the game will be available for free on Steam on September the 24th. From the same people who brought you a bucket of chicken comes the world's first Colonel Sanders dating simulator, the description reads. I love you, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator will put players in control of a promising culinary student who is studying alongside a young Colonel Sanders. while looking for love, but you've got to make it through culinary school too. If you are lucky, Colonel Sanders might even take you on as a business partner. Of the 9 characters, there's also a dog who is also a professor at culinary school naturally. KFC says there are multiple hours of gameplay, a secret ending, and recipes. There are also cooking battles, 11 herbs and spices, and plenty of cute miniature food. The listing also reminds potential players a few times that yes, KFC really did make this game. While I love you, Colonel Sanders, a finger-looking good dating sim is a bizarre yet intriguing move from the fast food company. It's not too out of line. In 2018, KFC launched a gaming Twitter account called KFC Gaming. The social media account is all over the place, hurling memes and video clips all across the internet. Most recently, the account declared Rainbow Six Siege the best game, the winner of its World Cup of Games. The turnout from the community has huge. Guess, well, what? I believe there's a typo in that one. Maybe that was on the Polygon article, maybe not. Was huge. Guess we'll have to put together a reward for the R6 family, KFC Gaming tweeted on September the 1st. But they didn't expect a surprise dating sim. So, with that being said, if you do want to dive into the Colonel Sanders dating simulator, which again, you could have this on your computer screen, then by all means, you can check it out on September the 24th on Steam. And I will say, this is absolutely genius. There is no getting around it. And I love the fact that so many fast food companies have thrown themselves into their identities by saying, hey, we know our demographic. One company that is fantastic about this has always been Taco Bell, in my opinion. Now, they aren't quite so over the top as KFC, but Taco Bell did throw themselves into the gaming culture, into the stoner culture, if you will. And now with KFC, you have these small, weird side gimmicks where you do have this embracement of the weird gaming culture, this weird marketing that we have going on right now that we've seen in 2018 with KFC Gaming and into 2019 with the dating simulator with Colonel Sanders. In a way, it's kind of like the Wendy's Twitter account, which is, quite frankly, not corporate approved. I'm 100% sure, but it does do numbers. It does get people talking about Wendy's, and guess what? That's exactly what the old men in control actually want. So if somebody comes up to the board of trustees at KFC and says, hey, we want to make a dating simulator game with a young Colonel Sanders, somebody will say, how many likes is this going to get on Twitter? And somebody's going to say, oh, a good many. That's what gets this approved. And quite frankly, it doesn't look that bad. The animations, the overall aesthetic, I'm kind of interested in playing it. So again, if you are interested in playing it, KFC Dating Simulator, specifically called I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-looking good dating sim, is coming out on September the 24th on Steam. But with that being said, that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you are brand new to the show, I do hope you enjoy what I brought to the table, and if you did, consider clicking that subscribe button on youtube.com/SamuelAdamsMedia or on your podcast feed to get the show delivered to you every single weekday morning. But until the next one, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day. I will talk to you soon, and peace.